So in part 1, David's daughter Tamar got raped, David got furious, and then zero justice, just vibes and royal denial. But guess who wasn't okay with that? Absalom, Tamar's brother. And let me tell you, this man held a grudge like it was a full-time job. Here's what happens next. Absalom waits 2 years, yes, 730 days of petty planning, then throws the most diabolical dinner party in biblical history. Amnon shows up thinking it's all good. Spoiler alert, it's not all good. Amnon doesn't make it to dessert, and then full-on civil war. Thousands dead, kingdom obliterated, all because dad couldn't be bothered to care. Today, we're breaking down how one father's silence literally nuked an entire nation. Was Absalom a hero or a psycho? Did David's Bathsheba guilt paralyze him again? And why does this feel like every dysfunctional family reunion ever? This is part 2, when silence costs a kingdom. And honestly, it's messier than any reality TV show you've ever binge-watched. Let's go. The brother who stepped in. Absalom, hero brother, or ticking time bomb? Okay, so David did nothing, but Absalom, he did everything. 2 Samuel 13:22 says, Absalom never said a word to Amnon, either good or bad. He hated Amnon because he had disgraced his sister Tamar. Absalom waited. For 2 years, he waited. Why? Was he waiting for David to act first? Was he giving his father a chance to do the right thing? Because here's the thing, if David had prosecuted Amnon, Absalom wouldn't have had to become the vigilante. But David didn't act, so Absalom did. This next part changed everything for me. Verse 28-29. Absalom ordered his men, listen, when Amnon is in high spirits from drinking wine, and I say to you, strike Amnon down, then kill him. So Absalom's men did to Amnon what Absalom had ordered. Absalom throws a party. He gets Amnon drunk, and then he has him killed. Now here's the uncomfortable question. Was Absalom the better protector than David? On one hand, Absalom did what David wouldn't. He defended his sister. He avenged her. But on the other hand, this act of vengeance plants the seeds of rebellion. Absalom doesn't just hate Amnon, he starts to hate David. Because in Absalom's mind, if his father won't uphold justice, why should he respect his father's authority? And you know what? That makes sense. David's inaction forced Absalom to become the vigilante justice David refused to be. Let me ask you, what if David had acted? What if he had prosecuted Amnon according to the law? Would Absalom have rebelled? Would there have been a civil war? Would David's kingdom have collapsed? We'll never know. But I think the answer is no. One unpunished sin unraveled an entire kingdom. Most YouTube channels are like flashy carnival games, enticing but empty. We're the boutique coffee shop of content, offering substance and quality. Choose us for engaging, memorable videos that nourish your mind, unlike the usual brain-draining fare. The domino effect, one unpunished sin, one destroyed kingdom. Let's trace the domino effect here because it's absolutely wild. Domino number 1, Amnon rapes Tamar. Domino number 2, David does nothing. Domino number 3, Absalom kills Amnon and flees. Domino number 4, David mourns Amnon but refuses to reconcile with Absalom for years. Domino number 5, Absalom returns but is bitter and resentful. Domino number 6, Absalom starts a rebellion, turning the people against David. Domino number 7, civil war breaks out, thousands die. Domino number 8, Absalom is killed, David is devastated. Can we trace David's entire family collapse back to this one moment of inaction? Absolutely. What if Absalom's entire rebellion started with David failing Tamar? I think it did. Would Absalom have rebelled if David had given Tamar justice? Probably not. Did Amnon's unpunished crime give permission for more violence in David's house? 100%. Because here's the thing, when leaders don't hold people accountable, it creates a culture where everyone thinks they can get away with anything. Amnon got away with rape. So Absalom thought he could get away with murder, and then rebellion, and then chaos. This is what happens when the person at the top refuses to act. It creates an environment of distrust. One unpunished sin destroyed an entire kingdom. Just go ahead and check it out. What's the worst that could happen, right? Don't be a chicken. The pattern of failure. Is David actually an unsafe father? Okay, let's zoom out for a second. Because this isn't an isolated incident. This is a pattern. Let's track David's parenting record. Tamar, unprotected, assaulted, erased. And she would not have gone to Amnon if David had not sent her. Amnon, undisciplined, unpunished, eventually murdered. Absalom, unmanaged, resentful, rebel. Adonijah, unchecked, tries to steal the throne. You see it? David was a phenomenal warrior, a brilliant king, a gifted poet, but as a father, he was a disaster. Did anybody teach him how to parent, how to be a good father? And here's the question that stings. Was David actually a terrible father who only cared about his sons? Because let's be honest, he grieved for Absalom, he mourned for Amnon, but Tamar, she got nothing. Would David have acted differently if Tamar were a son? I think so, and that's the tragedy. Let me hit you with some comparisons that'll make you uncomfortable. David protected sheep from lions as a boy, but he couldn't protect his daughter from his son? David risked everything for Jonathan's friendship, but nothing for Tamar's justice. David fought Goliath with a sling, but couldn't fight Amnon with his authority. The same David who confronted King Saul was silent when his son committed rape. Did David love being king more than he loved being a protector? I think he did. And that's what makes this story so heartbreaking, because David had the power to stop this. He had the authority. He had the law on his side. He just didn't act. Or did he think that he would appear a hypocrite if he acted? So what? He is the king, right? Come on, who did not do crazy things when they were younger? Unlock exclusive, mind-blowing stories that make you the MVP of every conversation. Like a secret menu, this VIP content is for those in the know. Subscribe, engage, and stay ahead of the curve. Modern parallels. How many Davids exist today? Let's bring this home, because this isn't just an ancient story. This is happening right now. How many Davids today choose reputation over protecting abuse victims? How many church leaders, CEOs, politicians, and fathers look the other way when someone in power abuses someone vulnerable? What does this story teach us about powerful men protecting powerful men? It teaches us that when leaders prioritize image over justice, victims are erased. Is David's silence the same as complicity? Absolutely. Can you be a man after God's heart and still fail victims? Apparently, yes, and that should terrify us. Because if David, the giant slayer, the psalmist, the king, can fail like this, then any of us can. Why do religious communities still struggle to believe victims just like David's court? Because it's easier to protect the institution than to pursue justice. It's easier to keep things quiet than to deal with the fallout. But you know what? That's not Christianity. That's cowardice. When the leader becomes the problem, the whole system collapses. And here's the haunting question. How many Tamars are still being silenced? In churches, in families, in workplaces, in homes. How many? Oh, buckle up. If you don't get this, you could be staring at a pile of gold, and there you are, thinking it's just some fancy copper. Closing, the one thing David could have done that would have changed everything. So what's the takeaway here? Here's the one thing David could have done that would have changed everything. He could have acted. That's it. He could have upheld the law. He could have prosecuted Amnon. He could have given Tamar justice. And if he had, Absalom wouldn't have rebelled. The kingdom wouldn't have collapsed. Thousands of people wouldn't have died. One choice, one moment, one act of courage. That's all it would have taken. Is this the moment David stopped being the hero and became the villain? I think so. Because heroes protect the vulnerable, villains protect the powerful. And in this story, David chose power. What if David's legacy isn't Goliath or the Psalms, but his failure as a father? That's the question we need to wrestle with. Because the Bible doesn't hide David's failures, it puts them on full display. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the lesson isn't be like David. Maybe it's don't be like David when he failed. So here's my challenge to you. Who's speaking truth to you when you need it most? And more importantly, are you a David who's willing to listen? Break the cycles of silence. Choose justice over reputation. Speak up for the Tamars in your life. Because silence isn't neutral. Silence is a choice. And one day, we'll all have to answer for the choices we made. Open up your mind and further enrich your understanding of well-researched knowledge, which is the foundation of true wisdom. Remember, it's essential to select content that offers something of value. Final thought. Proverbs 31, 8-9 says, "Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and needy." David had a chance to speak up. He didn't. Don't be like David here. Be the voice. Be the advocate. Be the one who acts. Because justice delayed is justice denied. And in Tamar's case, justice was never given at all. Psalms 34:18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." Psalms 147:3 says, "He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds." God's silence in the narrative doesn't mean he's absent. It means the human leaders failed. And that's the point. David was supposed to be the model king at that time. He was the boss. He was supposed to uphold justice, but he didn't. And when leaders fail, the vulnerable suffer. Here's another uncomfortable question. If David was a man after God's own heart, why didn't his heart break for his daughter? Does God hold David accountable for his inaction or just for his direct sins? I think he holds David accountable for both because inaction is still a choice, and silence is complicity. Did his guilt over what he did to Bathsheba kick in? Thanks for watching. If this story challenged you, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the Bible's most complex and uncomfortable truths. See you next time.